Hey guys, Wade Willis here for my playthrough of Umineko, and I'm in chapter 2, and this is like about to be my 16th part, so really getting through this. I feel like I'm almost to the end all the way of chapter 2. Interesting thing about it, we just had where Beatrice was tracking down Goda, Shannon, and George. Goda gets yeeted by the kind of sexy, sadistic pigtail chess piece. And then it ends up Shannon is like going beast mode and protecting George. But Beatrice is just too much for her. But we don't see her die. So we can only see that we assume that she died in this situation. And Kumasawa and Dr. Nanjo's bodies were just found. So stuff just got real. We could be basically done though, because I do think Shannon and George probably died, and then that creates the total needed for Beatrice. But yeah, let's get into it. Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grasped my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rosa's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove the barricades of sofas. When I finished, I took a backwards glance at Aunt Rosa, who was putting the barrel of the gun over my shoulder, and opened the door.
Kenji-san, 二人の死体はどこに?
中庭です。ご案内いたします。
Well, that makes it a bit easy for him.
バトラ君待って。念のため部屋の戸締まりを確認していくわ。ちょっと待ってね。
Aunt Rosa calls me to a halt, preventing me from going ahead to begin carefully checking the locks of each of the windows. But those locks had already been checked once. It felt like a kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected that I might have secretly unlocked them when she wasn't looking. You know, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. I would say yes, even though it's probably not going to matter. Though it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a pretty place you could take a walk in like the Rose Garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by the mansion on all sides, it made you feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you that there would be no escape from this mansion, no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, that meant that we could still hear the violent winds. The wind itself was blocked. Genji held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hinting that the gun took two hands and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. We didn't need Genji-san pointing at us to notice. Right in the center of the courtyard, we could see where Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa lay. Aunt Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella, so Genji and I also entered the courtyard without opening one. Only Maria opened hers.
Maria, これはあれだな。
おお、第7の番と第8の番だね。
なるほど。確かに源氏さんたちが言っていたように二人の首にはひどい傷があるわね。すごく鋭利な、まるで日本刀か何かで切ったかのようにすっぱりね。
Those gaping wounds on their necks definitely made me want to avert my eyes. But after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were no longer enough to make me feel sick. More importantly, our gazes fell onto their legs. Dr. Nanjo's knee to Kumasawa's ankle. Driven into each of them was something like a knife or a stake with a demonic sign. They must have been the same thing that had pierced Jessica's back. Okay, so I was gonna say, if they had these, if they were just dead in the courtyard but didn't have the stakes in them, they could have just used these dead bodies to lure them out to use the other Twilights on them.
ジェシカちゃんの時と同じね。何かオカルトの儀式のつもり。
Time for Maria to chime in.
わかります。彼らの遺体を最後に見た時にはこのようなものはありませんでした。使用人室から運び出された後にやられたのでしょう。
The one stuck to it, and Dr. Nanjo's knee was still standing erect. but the one that had been thrust into Kumasawa's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. So by looking at the one that had fallen over for the first time, I realized that it wasn't a knife, but something like a stake. Its full length was probably about 30 centimeters. I have no idea how long that is. It's probably made out of bronze or iron or something of the sort. Even without touching it, I could tell it had some weight to it. It was composed of a grip and a cone-shaped part, and it was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped ditches in it also made it look like a small drill. However, the grip had an occult design modeled off of a demon or something. So instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something that would be used to a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices.
間違いない。生贄のつもりなんだな。
第7の番に膝をえぐりて殺せ。第8の番に足をえぐりて殺せ。
待てよ。それじゃ第4、5、6の番が抜けちまう。
Yep.
まさか。
Of course. Why is Genji alone? If something like this happened, why aren't Genji, George, Goda, and Shannon here? Why was Genji alone?
どういうこと？ジョージ君たち3人はどこへ行ったの？
夏日奥様のお部屋を探し物に行きたいと言われまして、まだお戻りになりません。
なんだって。その出かけたってのはいつ頃の話なんだよ。
2、3時間前のことだと思います。
そんな、なんでそんな大事なことをやっちゃなくて、なんで不審に思わなかったんだよ。
常に一人使用人は待機していなくてはなりません。彼らが戻るまで待機しているのが私のお務めでしたもので。
Was Genji this much of a robot? Yeah. This is bad. This is bad. It's really bad. Dr. Nancho and Kumasawa were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran toward Natsui's room, with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Before we even saw the inside of Aunt Natsui's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. That door was bizarre. Scribble. No filth. Anyway, the room wasn't in an ordinary state. And without even opening the door, we could imagine what we'd find inside. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints done heavily with the same red paint as the magic circles from before. Had banged on the door, scratched it, and dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of a kindergartner playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down, and even though no one said it, it made us think of blood.
Genji-san.
He doesn't have his key, homie. Aunt Rosa held her gun up high and ordered Genji to open the door. Genji approached it without seeming particularly troubled by that stuff on it and turned the knob, but he immediately turned around shaking his head. It was locked. At that moment, there was only one person in this mansion who could lock and unlock doors at will, Aunt Rosa. This time, Genji asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door instead of the other way around. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa handed me a master key and told me to open the door.
バトラー君、これで開けてもらえる？
そのくらいのこと、ケンジさんを信用しても。
Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Well, it can't get much worse after they open this door. Without taking back anymore, I approached that creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. No shit, Sherlock. It was definitely a resistance of a lock. I stuck the master key into the keyhole. Clonk. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. Hello? And then there was a scene laid out before us that didn't betray my expectations at all.
ひどい。
やっぱり第4、5、6の番の再現だったな。
And then everyone else other than Kinzo's in this room, so she'll just wipe these people out because she already won, right? The inside of the room looked as though a robber had just broke in. Drawers had been flung open, pulled out, and their contents thrown all over the place, leaving the room so cluttered you never believed it belonged to the methodical Aunt Natsui. But the very first thing that caught our eyes was Goto-san's corpse lying face down in front of the door. Right in the center of his chest, almost as though it had been stuck there like to finish off a vampire, was one of those demonic stakes from before. Exactly how far could it have reached after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagining it would make anyone's chest hurt.
胸をえぐれば第5の番だったが。
Maria grabbed my hand. Her expression looked just like normal, but maybe she really was afraid of the aura in this room where the 3 corpses lie. And along the wall farthest into the room, George lay dead. This time, one of those stakes had been rammed right into the center of his stomach. Was it gouging the stomach the sticks, Twilight? Shannon's corpse was lying face down in front of the dresser, lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face at the end, in that horribly broken mirror stained with blood? Because she was lying that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess without even seeing it. Nearby on the sea of blood she lay. The demon stake had fallen. Only the 4th Twilight was left. Gouge the head and kill. Maybe my heart was worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I lifted her head and checked, and I confirmed that my guess had been right on the mark. There was a gaping hole in Shannon's head, and the insides were dripping out. Not only that, but you could even see inside her. After that, I finally realized that I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but now, it was totally pointless.
こらバトラ君、警察が来るまでそっとしておかないと
Yo,
ダ
it
メ
ain't
よ。
gonna matter about the police.
勝手に触ってどういうつもり？せっかくの現場証拠がおかしくなっちゃったらどうするのよ。
Aunt Rosa got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I tottered limply and fell on my butt, gazing dimly up at the ceiling.
マリア。これで第8の番まで終わっちまったな。第9の番って
第9の番に魔女は蘇る。誰も生き残れはしない。
そっか。これで黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェは復活するんだ。そしてなんだ、最後の第10の番。
Golden Land, right?
第10の番に旅は終わる。黄金の里に至るだろう。黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるんだよ。もうすぐ。
魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。俺たちはこれから死ぬのか、それともこれで生贄の儀式は終了で
Oops,
俺た
sorry
ち
guys.
何が俺たちの旅だ。俺たちは今日一日犯人を見つけよう、事態を打開しようと散々頭をひねって何も至れなかった。バカの考え休むに似たりってやつだ。そうさ、俺たちは今日一日ずっと憎悪と疑心暗鬼で自分を焼き焦がした。死んだ人間しか信用できないって言ってわざわざ3人の死に顔をここまで確認に来たんだぜ。こんな俺たちがどうして 黄金鏡とやらにたどり着けるって言うんだよ。
That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we locked ourselves up in the whole time without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us all. He's been shut up in his room since yesterday without any contact with anyone. That was a right decision. Grandfather was the most correct of us all.
大丈夫だよバトラー。マリアといれば大丈夫。魔女はとても気まぐれで、時に面白半分に人間を殺すかもしれない恐ろしい存在だけれども。でもマリアと一緒にいれば絶対に大丈夫。だから怯えないで。
Yeah, I would be scared shitless at this point.
ありがとな。気休めでも嬉しいぜ。
After Aunt Rosa finished investigating the corpses, she announced that she would seal this room again, chase the rest of us out, stole back the master key she lent me, and locked the door again. Apparently George had been holding the key to Aunt Natsui's room. She also collected that. Wait a sec. She got all the master keys on her person. If Aunt Natsui's own key was locked up inside this room, doesn't that make it another closed room? So what is the fourth closed room? Now that suspicions surrounding those three had been cleared, we return to the parlor once more. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. If only the dead are innocent and everyone alive is a wolf. That leaves only me, Aunt Rosa, Maria, and Genji. And besides us, there's only Grandfather and that 19th person guessed we had no trace of Beatrice. 13 people have died, 6 are left. How would a wolf in sheep's puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though a puzzle that started with 19 people have been reduced to 6, I can't think of an answer. We returned to the parlor. I was a bit worried that, while we were gone, a creepy magic circle or something might have been drawn on the parlor door. But thankfully, we didn't find anything like that.
ありがとう、源氏さん。ここまでで結構よ。あなたも今日は休んでください。
かしこまりました。これで休ませていただきます。
おい、ローザおばさん。この状況下で、源氏さんをたった一人で過ごさせるっていうのか。
Yeah, of course she will.
そうね。とても危険なことだと思うわ。でも、ならなぜ彼は無事なの？
It's not a bad point.
彼は3人が夏日姉さんの部屋へ向かった後、ずっと一人でいた。なのに無事だった。狼と羊のパズルよ。最も弱い立場となる孤立した羊が無事な理由は
Because
ない。
she needed to take out 3?
狼がたまたまいなかったんだろ。
違うわ。それが羊じゃなかったからよ。
源氏さんが狼だって言うのかよ。
彼は一人で厨房にいたそうだけど、それは証明不能よ。南條先生たちの死体を運んだり、ジョージ君たちを殺したりできたのは、彼かベアトリーチェだけな
And
のよ。
grandfather.
待てよ。その論法じゃ誰だって。
バトラ様、私は信頼を勝ち得るのは常に100の言い訳ではなく一つの誠実であると信じています。たとえ信頼をいただけなくても私は最後まで誠実でありたいと思います。
源氏さん
なら決まりね。あなたが本当に無実なら、それは明日やってくる警察が証明してくれるわ。
And she's
だから、それまでの間、あなたを疑いから外すわけにはいかない。長年、後ろ宮家に仕え
I'm
てくれた
wondering
あ
why
なた
this
に
is
こんな仕打ちをするのは本当に心苦しいんだけ
continuing
れ
so
ど、
long like this
今夜は分かってください。
when she should.
そして
I guess it's not midnight yet,
明
right?
日になったらもう一度仲直りさせてください。
Genji-san gave his head a small shake.
今日も明日も私は後ろ宮家の使用人であり続けます。ご用がありましたらいつでもお申し付けください。それでは失礼させていただきます。
After hearing that, there was nothing left to say. Genji bowed deeply and left down the hall. Then we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa still had all the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlor again. She opened the curtains and checked again to make sure the windows were locked. As I watched, how should I say it, I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while I gazed out from the corridor, figured I'd just wait about long enough, and entered the parlor behind her. She doesn't trust anyone but the dead. Why doesn't she just go around killing everyone with a gun until she's got in her hand? And then in the end, she'll realize herself that she herself is a wolf. Then she could just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain on this insane murder drama. As I thought about that bitterly, I walked to the sofa where I had been encamped before, rudely resting both my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something there and stopped moving my feet. A letter, of course. Right there, almost as though it had been addressed to me, was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before, the one sealed with a one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Wait. What is this? Who put it in a place like this and when? Until we went with everyone to check the corpses, I was sitting here the whole time, and there wasn't anything there then. And when I returned, it was here.
大丈夫。戸締まりに問題はないわ。この部屋は安全よ。
I heard Rosa muttering that. Wait. We made sure this room was safe when we left. We checked the windows were all perfectly locked. Then we locked it up, came back, and the windows were still locked. Then wait, who put this letter here and how? Oh, I wonder who. I opened the letter. 2 pieces of stationery came out. The first page had a magic circle drawn on with something like blood. If I asked Maria, she'd probably know what it meant. And there was writing on the other page. Have you made progress in solving the epitaph? In just a short while, your time will be up in a flash. The night twilight will begin quite soon. There was no mistake. It was a letter from Beatrice.
ほう、バトラー、それは？
ああ、今ここに来たら、置いてあった。
どうしたの、マリア？バトラ君、その手紙は？
いや、ここに置いてあったんだ。どうしてだよ。この部屋はちゃんと戸締まりをしていたのに。どうしてだよ。どうして。
マリア、いらっしゃい。
She's gonna send out Battler now. Aunt Rosa closed her eyes just a little after thinking silently for a moment. Told Maria to come. Maria obeyed her mother's words. As she did, something unbelievable happened. Yep. Aunt Rosa pointed the barrel of that gun at me.
バトラ君、あなたを狼だと断
Of
定
course
す
she
るわ。
did.
どうして。
私はこの部屋にたった今帰ってきて、そのテーブルの上に何もないことを見ているわ。そしてマリアがそのテーブルに近づいていないことも知っている。わずかな時間よ。でもこのテーブルに近づき、そして手紙を見つけたと主張するのはあなただけなのよ。
そんなのって。いや、めちゃくちゃだ。 なんで俺がこんなものを置くんだよ。
Yeah, it just makes him look suspicious.
おいおい、俺は不審なものを見つけて報告しただけだぜ。なんで俺が疑われるんだよ。
あなたにしかその手紙をそこへ置けないからよ。そう、これは自作自演。
She's gonna shoot him.
あなたが懐から封筒を取り出し、たった今見つけたかのように振る舞った。密室の中に魔女が入って手紙を置いていった幻想を作り出すためにね。
バカ野郎。またそういう考えなのかよ。そんなことで俺まで疑うのかよ。いい加減にしろ。俺は親父たちを殺されてるんだぞ。そんな俺がどうして犯人の片棒を担がなければならないん
She's
だよ。
gonna say he doesn't even like his dad.
そうね、たとえ莫大なお金がもらえるとしたとしても、そんなことで肉親の命を切り売りできるような悪魔がいるなんて信じたくないわ。でもね、いるかもしれない。言い方が悪いわね。例えばバトラ君にとって。
はあ？何を言い出すかと思えば、親父は親父だろうが。確かに綺麗さんと血縁はねえが、俺の姉貴も同然のお人だ。そこだけは聞き捨てならねえぞ、この野郎。
言うのをやめなさい。
Evil Rose is about to come out.
ごめんなさい、言い方が悪かったわね。確かに後宮バトラ君はルドルフ兄さんの子供かもしれない。でもあなた本当にルドルフ兄さんの息子のバトラ君なの？
What?
何をわけのわかんねえこと。俺がバトラじゃねえんなら誰に見えるってんだよ。
ルドルフ兄さんも含めて私たちは6年ぶりにあなたに再会しているわ。あなたが本当に後宮バトラ
Oh
かな
my
んて誰
god.
も証明できないの
Of
よ。
course.
あなたは本当は後宮バトラじゃなくて、後宮家の財産をうまく騙し取ろうと紛れ込んだ何者かかもしれない。あなた自分が後宮バトラだとはっきり証明できる。今この場で。
いい加減にしやがれ。俺は俺だ、後宮バトラ。そこまで疑い出したらあんただって本当に後宮ローザなのかよ。自分は自分だ、他の誰でもね。ああそうだな、あんたの言う通りだぜ。死体以外で信用できるのは自分だけってわけだ。そこまで言うなら反論させてもらうぜ。ジョージの兄貴たちが死んでいた夏日おばさんの部屋には鍵がかかってた。部屋の鍵はジョージの兄貴が持っていたんだろう。そしてマスターキーを持ってるのは今やローザおばさんだけだぜ。あの部屋に施錠できたのはあんただけじゃねえかよ。俺の推理じゃこうだ。あんたは真犯人と通じ合っていて、俺たちの目を盗み5つのマスターキーのうちの1つをこっそり貸し出したんだ。
そんなことしな
Yeah,
いわ
but you
よ。
look the most suspicious.
ほら、
Yeah.
ここに5つあるわ
Okay.
よ。
そんなのは当てになるもんか。あらかじめ取り決めた場所に置かせて回収したかもしれねえじゃねえかよ。それにマスターキーが5個かどうかは疑わしいと言ってたのはあんただぜ。
じゃああなたはその封筒をあなた以外の誰がどうやってそこに置いたというのよ。それが証明できない限りあなたが狼なのよ。
うるせえ。ならあんたこそ証明しろよ。犯人はどうやってジョージの兄貴たちをあの密室で殺したと言うんだよ。 どうやって施錠したと言うんだよ。
まったくにもってその通り。夏日の部屋も全く同じだぞ、いつもの通
What
り。
does that even mean? Okay.
扉も窓も
Okay, I see.
内側から施錠されていた。いかなるイカ様も細工もなく、そして隠された通行手段もなければ隠れる場所もない。夏日自身の鍵はジョージのポケットに入って室内に閉じ込められていた。あとは5本のマスターキーしかないが、それは全てローザが持っている。ついでに言おう、その客間も同じよ。本来の客間の鍵は使用人室に封印されている。だからマスターキー以外では解錠不能。部屋の密室定義もいつもに同じよ。おいおい、容疑者はもう一人しかいねえぜ。
She was there at the chapel.
それでもまだかまととぶんのかよ、後ろ宮バトラ
うるせえ。てめえも黙ってろ。
黙るのはあなたの方でしょ。あなた以外にどうやってその手紙を置けたというの。それが証明できない限りあなたは狼なのよ。
俺が疑えるってんならあんただって疑えるぜ。あんたこそ証明してみろ。最初に部屋に入って戸締まりの確認だのを始めたのはローザおばさんじゃねえかよ。そして俺の座っていた場所に再び俺が戻るだろうことを見越し、これはあんたの罠だって疑うこともできるんだぜ。
どうして私がそんな罠を。私が狼ならこの銃で問答無用で
It
撃って
gives
るわ
you
よ。
a.
そんなのじゃ理由にならねえな。マリアの目の前で殺人ができねえから、うまく罠にかけようって回りくどいことしてるかもしれねえじゃねえか。マスターキーは全てあんたの手にある。ならここもさっきも全部あんたの仕業じゃねえかよ。言い逃れできるってんなら言い訳を聞かせてみろよ。そうさ、ローザおばさんは最初から怪しいんだよ。
Yeah, all her siblings die except for her.
なんで親族会議の大人たちが6人殺されたのに、なんでローザおばさんだけがあの礼拝堂にいなかったんだ。
I bet she was gonna slip and say she was in the chapel.
一つしか理由がねえよ。ローザおばさんが親父たちをあそこに招いて殺したんだ。クソクソ。それで全部説明がつくじゃねえかよ。ふざけんじゃ
Yeah,
ね
you
え。
need to get that gun from her hand.
わけのわかんねえことを言うんじゃねえ。
Yeah. Maria thrust herself in between Aunt Rosa and me as the blood started to rise in our heads. I was taken aback by Maria's crying voice and returned to my senses. I had acted shamefully just now. No, you didn't. My eyes filled with tears.
そうなんだよ。全部。魔女のせいだったんじゃないかよ。鍵がどうこうとか。トリックだのアリバイだの。全部馬鹿らしかったんだ。魔女の仕業なのに、俺たちは同じ人間同士を信じ合うこともできなくて。なあ、ローザおばさん。人間の犯人なんて最初からいなかったんだ。全部宝。ローザおばさんが犯人のわけがないし、俺やマリアだって そして、源氏さんだって他のみんなだって、犯人のわけがないんだ。どうしてこんなことに。俺はどうして。大好きだったローザおばさんとこんなことの隣り合いをしてるんだよ。優しくって大好きだったおばさんとどうしてこんな罵り合いをしてるんだよ。なんでみんなで疑い合わなくちゃならねえんだよ。
'Cause it's a mystery?
おばさんを疑ってなんかいないんだ。誰も疑ってなんかないんだ。全部魔女の仕業だったんだ。ベアトリーチェの仕業だったん
Come
だ。
on, homie.
全部ベアトリーチェが魔法で行った事件だったんだ。ベアトリーチェ頼むから
She just shows up.
ここに現れてくれよ。そして自分が全てやったと俺たちに告白してくれよ。もうごめんだ。こんな疑り合いはごめんなんだ。だから俺たちを許してくれ。解放してくれ。互いの死を見届け合うまで疑り合わなきゃならない地獄から解放してくれ。俺に優しい親戚たちを、いとこたちを返してくれよ。もう嫌だ、全部嫌だ。お前は確かに実在する。姿を見せてくれよ。ベアトリーチェベアトリーチェ
Stella! Hello? Oh, this freaking guy.
まだ生きているのか。
I hope he starts yelling about Beatrice. Apparently some time ago, Kinso had fallen into a doze. He searched for his spectacles and looked at the clock. It was 10 p.m.
あやつの儀式はあって、
Oops.
時間的にはもうだいぶ進んでいなくてはならぬ頃だ。
Kinso lifted his heavy body from the chair and approached the portrait of the witch which he had gazed at every day.
ベアトリーチェ、もうじきお前の微笑みに再会できる。死んでもいい。お前の微笑みがもう一度見られるならこの命は惜しくない。だから交渉だ。お前にもう一度会わせてくれ。そして愛を誓わせておくれ。私の罪を謝らせておくれ。だが逃がさん。お前は私のものだ。髪の毛の一本からつま先まで爪の赤すらも私のものなの
How
だ。
about you let her keep the dirt under her toenails? That's just me.
お前の肉一片までも全て私のもので、その亡骸の煮汁まで私のものなのだ。
This takes love and creepiness to a whole other level.
逃がさん。今度こそこの手からこぼさん。お前を永遠に私のものにしてやるぞ。二度と逃がすものか。二度と逃がすものか。
As Kinzo howled in rage, he suddenly fell to his knees as he shook and scraped at the wall. In an instant, he started sobbing.
違う。私が言いたいのはこんなことじゃないんだ。ベアトリーチェ頼む。もう一度会わせてくれ。謝らせてくれるだけでいい。
Yo, I gotta say, the sex with Beatrice must have been insane. I'm sorry, I can't. For some reason, this kills me.
他には何もいらなかったんだ。私が間違えた。私がそれを間違えて、取り返しのつかないことをしてしまった。その償いに残りの全ての人生を捧げた。お前に詫びるために、私の罪を償うために。
He must have like tricked her or something.
全て捧げたんだ。頼む。私の死の際でもいい。せめてお前に一言謝らせて、ベアトリーチェ。
Moving on. As Ginzo shook and cried, a butterfly appeared out of nowhere behind his back like a small gold leaf and softly descended. Oh. You fool, Ginzo. Did you think any woman out there would fall for a man's tears? Well, even if it wouldn't make a human woman fall for you, it might do the trick for a woman who isn't not a human. Ginzo, do you remember that game of chess you played with me, which is still ongoing? Ginzo, as though he had suddenly remembered something, approached the test set. It was as it had been during the game he had played with Nanjo until yesterday. After knocking all the pieces to the chessboard, he began to line them up once again, one by one. It was a setup for an ongoing game.
そうだ。こうだ。私はクイーンを勧めた。とても良い妙手だった。お前には少々きつすぎるかもしれん一手だった。お前は駒を見捨てるか見捨てないかに悩み、ずっと悩み。
Ginzo waited with the opposite seat empty. Surely, very soon his opponent would appear there, and he would be able to restart this game once again. You fool, Ginzo. You want to apologize? You want to see my face again? You want to make me smile an eternal thing? Why can't you say a much simpler word? Even though that is the sole element of this word. Oh, just that I love you? At that time, Ginzo muttered. Was it a prayer? An entreaty? It was probably the best to just call him muttering. They were pure words, like something an innocent child would say without any evil intent. You really are a fool, Ginzo. You have the chance to do your life over again? Know that those words will never cause a woman to fall for you. That's right, not unless a miracle happens. That's what makes this. At that moment, Ginzo definitely heard a small knock, one with a tempo that differed from those of the servants.
誰だ?
The woman beyond the door didn't answer.
誰かと聞いておる。返事をせるか?
The woman beyond the door didn't answer.
まさか。
Oh.
まさか。ベアトリーチェなのか。ベアトリーチェ。ベアトリーチェ。
The woman beyond the door answered. On the ninth twilight the rich shall revive, and none shall be left alive. Is that her ending this episode? No way. $11:30 now? Battler's figure was in the dining hall. He didn't feel like going back into the guest house in the middle of all this rain, and wandered half-heartedly around the mansion and searched for any place he could sit before setting up camp in the dining hall. He didn't even lock the door. He thought the shapeless murderer, maybe the Golden Witch, might come in and kill him now that he was isolated, but he no longer had any desire to resist. He didn't even feel like using a locked door to hold off the culprit. He wanted that person to come at him openly from the front. If it was the killer, he wanted them to ask them about some of those wonderful closed room tricks as a parting gift. If it was the witch, he'd hoped that she'd at least take his life with some spectacular magic. However, ironically, neither of those two came to meet him. Battler opened the liquor cabinet on his own and enjoyed the liquor to his heart's content. No longer was anyone to scold him for drinking alcohol. He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant tablecloth and savored the high-quality liquor, which probably had a mind-boggling price, drinking it down straight from the bottle. Then, someone knocked. Battler realized someone had finally come to greet him.
おー、鍵なんかかかってねえぜ。誰でも入ってきてくれ。そして自己紹介を頼むぜ。人間なら名前を名乗ってくれ。ベアトリーチェだってんなら3サイズを教えてくれ。俺はこう見えてもちょいと知られたおっぱいソムリエなんだぜ。
Oh, that's amazing.
源氏でございます。バトラ
No.
様。
Lame.
源氏さんか。悪いが、あんたのバストのサイズに興味はねえな。入ってくれよ。空いてるぜ。
失礼いたします。
Genji opened the door and bowed. So is Genji the criminal after all? Or maybe an accomplice? That theory would probably explain most of the tricks.
あんたが、俺に引導を渡しに来たのかい？
そのようなことはございません。お邪魔なようでしたら失礼いたします。
おいおい、要件も伝えず失礼しますじゃ、かえって気持ち悪いぜ。何の用だよ。最後くらい好きにさせてくれ。
Weird. I don't know.
バトラ様は死せる最後のわずかな時間をそのように怠惰に過ごされることをお望みですか？
I mean, what else is he gonna do? Those words pierced me. That wasn't true.
今さら何ができるってんだ。俺はいつだって死ぬ準備はできてるぜ。
親方様と同じですな。本当にあなたは親方様の血を色濃く受け継がれている。
あの豪傑なじい様が実はいつ死んでもいいと思ってたってのか。それは初耳だぜ。
親方様の人生はいくつかの悲しい出来事の末、すべて贖罪のためのものとなり果てたのです。
あんたは何を知っているんだ？
ベアトリーチェ様の儀式も第8の晩までをすべて終えました。もうすべてをお話ししてもよいかと思います。
なんだって？
My drunkenness was completely blown away. I lowered my feet from the table and listened carefully to hear what Genji would say next.
バトラ様、親方様の書斎へご案内申し上げます。親方様たちに 直接お話を聞かれるのがよろしいでしょう。
じいさま。
Oh wow, this is an interesting.
おい、それは一体どういう。
His boo thing, yo.
さあ、こちらへ。ご案内申し上げます。バトラ様。
After Genji told me to follow him, he started to walk down the corridor. I threw my drunkenness off completely and went after him. We climbed the big staircase towards the third floor. Genji-san stopped walking halfway. He then turned back and spoke.
バトラ様、これよりバトラ様は理解できぬものを見るでしょう。
What?
脅すなよ。理解できねえもんなら今日は嫌になるほど
I don't think so.
見えるものを見えるがままに、聞こえるものを聞こえるがままに受け入れてください。
Yo, I'm so nervous right now. Hold on, I'm gonna save real quick here.
なぜも何も必要はありません。バトラ様はただ真実を知ることになるでしょう。それをお認めになるかお信じになるか、あるいは否定されるかも、すべてバトラ様にお任せいたします。
My leather Cheerio is not ready. Genji checked for one last time to see whether I was prepared to know the truth. The 8th twilight had already ended. On the 9th twilight, the witch would revive, and nobody would be left alive. It meant that Beatrice had already been revived, and it probably also meant that none of us would be allowed to return alive. If I was going to lose my life anyways, I wouldn't know the truth in the end. Same, that's how I would feel. It didn't matter how hard it might be to accept.
ああ、鬼が出ようと魔女が出ようと覚悟はできてるぜ。
本当にあなたは親方様の若き頃にそっくりだ。バトラ様、どうかご勉学にお励みを。あなたは将来必ずや大きな志を持たれるでしょう。そしてその時、足りぬ学力に一生後悔されることがありませんよ。
勉学に勤しめる機会がもらえるならぜひな。
Genji's silence felt like it was further confirming a certain resigned feeling I had. And then the door to grandfather's study, surrounded by a sweet smell, came into sight. Genji took a golden key with an elegant design out from his pocket. The master keys had been confiscated by Rosa, but he kept the key to the study alone on his person. He put it in the keyhole and it made a heavy clunking sound.
親方様、源氏です。バトラ様をお連れいたしました。
There was no reply, but it seemed that permission to go inside had been given.
さあ、バトラ様、どうぞお入り。
Sorry.
入るぜ。
I readied myself and threw the door open. Is he gonna be in like a... At that moment, I got slightly disoriented by the dazzling golden glow. It was unbelievably a swarm of butterflies that shone gold. The gold butterflies that completely filled the inside of the study poured out all at once. It was almost like a golden leaf confetti. The interior to gold in front of their study was filled with a golden glow. And on the sofa, like a reception chair in front of the desk, I could see Grandfather's back. There was someone on the opposite side from Grandfather. It was in shadow, so I couldn't see it well.
親方様、バトラ様をお連れしました。
バトラか。今思考が忙しい。
Of course you are.
しばし沈黙せよ。
Kinza declared that unhappily, his back still turned. It seemed he was enjoying a chess game with a visitor. Apparently, the opponent had counterattacked with a superb move. Kinza seemed to be enjoying himself as he thought deeply, while occasionally laughing and groaning.
30年考えた。この一手をどう切り返すか。楽しめ。30年を寝かせた我が一手を楽しめ。
まことにこの一手は味わい深き熟成された一手よ。楽しい楽しい。かなわぬかなわぬ。
これは何だってんだ。
Poor Battler.
来たかバトラ。しばらく待て。金蔵のために沈黙を。まだリザインは早いぞ金蔵。わらわならもう数手は切り返せる。
It should have been my first time meeting that witch. However, I knew this witch. Even though it was our first meeting, I knew her from the portrait.
源氏、バトラのために飲み物を振る舞え。この男によりふさわしきやつは何か？
White Claw?
若き日より親方様が愛されている。いつものあれは。
それがよいぞ。振る舞ってやれ。よくぞ来たな。後ろ宮バトラ。まずは座れ。そなたはわらわの名を何度も呼んだな。それに免じ、わらわとの面会を許した。そしてお前は、わらわに何を聞く？何を尋ねるのか。黄金鏡の扉はもうじき開かれる。魔女たちを迎え入れてのわらわの復活を祝う宴はもうじきだぞ。それまでの間、お前の問いにいくらでも答えてやろう。
Yeah.
聞きてえことは山ほどある。
Okay. First thing, how many witches? Second, oh gosh.
この島で何が起こった？
Okay.
そしてどう
Well,
し
you
てこん
have
な
the
事件が起
epitaph.
こっ
These are
た？
bad questions.
密室についても聞きたい。礼拝堂は？ジェシカの部屋は？シオニッサ、夏代おばさんの部屋は？そして客場は？聞きたいことはまだまだある。
What about her bust size?
魔女の正体は？本当にベアトリーチは魔女なのか？何が目的だ？俺たちに何をさせたい？俺をなぜここへ呼んだんだ？答えろすべて
Okay.
だ。
I think she's gonna have to go one at a time.
やかましい。問えば答えは返るのか？
そういうな金蔵。もろく儚い雲の巣もヘロデの王から守ってくれることもある。この世に無駄なものなどないように無駄な質問もまたない。よいよい、すべての質問に答えようぞ。
Oh.
ただし条件が一つだけある。
He has to admit that she exists.
すべてを聞き、わらわの存在に納得できたなら、ひざまずき。お前を屈服させたくて、わらわはここへ呼びつけたのだから。わらわと金蔵は賭けをした。金蔵が次の手をひらめくのと、わらわがそなたを屈服させるのと、どちらが早いかだ。負ける気はせぬぞ。
でけえ口を叩きやがって。 ああ、いいぜ。俺を納得させてみろよ。お前が間違いなく魔女様で、不思議で素敵な大魔法を使えるってことを納得させてみろよ。屈服したなら、キスでも何でもくれてやる。
Don't say or anything else. The witch cackled gloatingly, and then she glared at him unpleasantly with eyes that said a man can't go back on his word.
よくぞ言った。さーて、どの問いから答えようか。すべて答えるぞ。さあ、まずは何からだ。
I can't even remember all the damn questions he had. Bro. Oh, and then the witch started to tell everything. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this as quick as I need to, guys. Because the last one was hard. She began answering all of Battler's questions. Everything made sense. He was convinced of all of it. And then Battler had no choice but to admit it. The witch certainly did exist. Aw, man, Battler. I mean, I would also admit it, probably. What followed is a story that needs no retelling. When the king falls and you are defeated, it's time to start reflecting on your finished game. And then all you can do is set up the pieces one more time. Second game, Turn of the Gold Witch. Result. Oh, chosen by the key, offered up as a sacrifice. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is just showing how everyone died. I just want to see... Battler. Stake of Mammon, Stake of Basilbub, Stake of Lucifer, Leviathan. Huh. Okay. I thought it said he did. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow the four treasures of the Golden Land. There they chose to revive the dead souls and the love was lost. After all, if their desire had been a mountain of gold of any size, they would not have been able to receive it. Kinzo chose the person he had loved and lost. Maria chose the lost love of her mother. Genzi chose a peaceful sleep. Oh, okay. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb you but slumber ever again. Disturb your slumber. Oh, sorry. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice because time ran out before any of the 18 could solve the riddle. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive. And I think I'm gonna have another tea party or something. do, 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 do. Hello?
どこなのベアトリーチェ
Hold on. I'm gonna save it.
姿を見せなさいベアトリーチェ
Rosa finally arrived at the chapel. She pointed the gun around her, screaming the witch's name, but there was no way she would ever receive an answer. After grimacing slightly, she noisily approached a table where her siblings' corpses lay exposed and stretched out her arms towards the gold ingot. It was very heavy, but Rosa didn't mind. She wrapped that one up in the blanket and threw it over her shoulder.
せめてこの一つだけでもこれだけでも1000万以上の価値があるはず
Without letting go of her gun, Rosa picked up the gold as well. Her shoulders were screaming, but Rosa didn't mind.
もうすぐだね。もうすぐ黄金鏡の扉が開く。
その気持ち悪い声で笑うのをやめなさいベアトリーチェはどこにいるのええ分かってるわどこかにあなたは知ってるんでし
I
ょ
thought Rosa didn't accept her. We'll see.
どこ
知らない。探さなくても黄金鏡で会えるよ。
その笑いをやめな
So
さい
it seems like if you make it to the end, you do get your wish granted as long as it's not the gold.
私が笑いたいくらいよ
So that's kind of interesting.
そうね
So
あれは
each
間違い
loot,
なく
someone's
魔女だ
going
っ
to
た
be
わ
able to get something.
間違いなく魔女だった私は分かってなかった魔女を名乗る人間だと信じてた違うあれは本当
So
に
she
魔女
did
だった
accept that she was a witch.
私はあんなのにごまかされないわよ
Wait.
いるんでしょ出てきなさいベアトリーチェ
だからもうすぐ現れる。黄金鏡の扉が開かれるよ。
そうだ。それでよかったのだ。構わぬ。ルークを捨てるぞ。持てるもの全てを失う覚悟がなければ至ることもできぬキングがお前という女なのだ。追い詰めるぞベアトリーチ
せめてクイーンと言えい。ほう、なかなかに妙手。諦めの悪さがそなたの。いや、後ろ宮の地下。
心地よし。実に優雅な夜だ。うわー
Good lord.
親方様、ベアトリーチェ様、そろそろ宴の時間でございます。
もうか。早い。お前と過ごす夜はいつも早く。月がリンゴのように落ち、川面より跳ねる小魚のように日が昇るのだ。
行こうではないか。
You just, that'd be funny if it panned down and you just see Battler licking her shoes.
さて、バトル。わらわの復活を祝う宴の始まりだ。わらわの新しい家具。いや、玩具として紹介しようぞ。俺キレキの魔女たち。
The witch was relaxing elegantly, her feet thrown out from the sofa and resting atop a footrest, which was Battler, huh? However, the footrest wasn't part of the sofa, but a human. A human, down on all fours.
ベアトリーチェ様、お召し替えのドレスでございます。
主賓はお前だが、ホストは私だ。私は先に出ていよう。着付けの手伝いにシャノンでもおればよかったが、あいにく残れなかったようだな。使いたい時にいつもおらん。つくづく使えんやつよ。しかしお前はよく残ってくれた。嬉しいぞ、我が友よ。
ありがたいお言葉です。
よい、二人とも先に下で待て。源氏、ご苦労。そのドレスはそこへ置いていけ。
かしこまりました。それでは親方様。
我らは先に行こう。ベアトリーチェ、後ほどな。
うん。
Kinzo and Genji left the study. After that, the witch and the dress and the furniture remained.
なぜわらわがそなたに肌を見せることを恥じぬかわかるか？そなたは家具だからだ。家具。わかるか？家具だよ、家具。家具に体をさらして恥じる者がどこにいよう。だからお前にわらわは恥じる必要がない。
The witch rose and her jacket just slipped off from her shoulders. After that, the jacket fell to the ground with a thump. When the furniture respectfully approached to pick up the clothes, the witch gave it a small kick and it fell over. The furniture was afraid of what misconduct it might have shown. Man.
そなたは家具の分際でわらわに自らボタンを外させるつもりなの。
Not the worst punishment.
立て、そしてこのボタンを外せ。一つずつ早く美しく。そうそうな。
Can I use my tea?
客人たちを待たせてしまうぞ。早くわらわを着替えさせろ。
はい。
丁寧に外すのだぞ。そなたの目玉一つよりも高価なボタンであるぞ。
It's a bit of overpriced buttons.
間違ってちぎるようなことがあったなら。
The entrance hall was bustling with a crowd of shadowy people, and it sparkled with gold butterflies flying about. The gentlemen in suits and tuxedos and the ladies in dresses looked like they had been having a great number of friendly chats. At a glance, it might have looked like a fabulous medieval ball. But they all had one thing in common, that they were exceedingly bizarre. Oh, this is awesome. Because all of them had goat heads. Oh. Was it a goat masquerade? Or did they really have goat heads? It probably couldn't be the latter, but in this bizarre world, I didn't really know which was true. Kinzo was among those goat nobles greeting them. Kinzo's greetings were more respectful than would have been expected, as though they were all honored guests. At that time, Genji's voice rang out through the hall. It was a voice calling for silence. The voice stopped the idle chatter, and everyone turned to face Genji.
今宵復活を遂げましたる我らが黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ卿のご入場でございます。皆様拍手をもってどうかお迎えください。
When Genji began to applaud, it quickly spread through the guests and became a roaring ovation. Then the Golden Witch appeared from the top of the large staircase. She gracefully waved her hand, and, followed by a piece of furniture that she was fond of, she slowly descended the staircase. The goat nobles offered unanimous words of celebration in some long-forgotten language, and those who were deeply intimate embrace filled with joy at their reunion. As the witch offered greetings of reunion, the witch's furniture followed behind her the whole time. There was a chain around its neck, and the other end was gripped by the witch's hand, like it was a trained dog. It wasn't there to restrain him. Those chains were a restraining device whose purpose was to wound the furniture's dignity. He wasn't permitted to wear anything else on his body. One of those young women goats mixed in with goat nobles quietly removed her goat mask as the furniture passed in front of her, and she spoke with the eyes that had no light to them. That face seemed to belong to a long-haired young girl. Oh man.
おお、ベルンカステル卿。これはようこそおいでよ。わらわの家具を気に入られたか？いい趣味ね。
After saying only that, a witch called Bernkastel once again put on her goat mask, and was swallowed up by the shadows of other tall goats.
負け惜しみよ。悔しがってるのよ。
違いないな。
The young woman goats giggled, and the witch once again let out a high-pitched laugh.
今宵はわらわのためによく集まってくれた。久々に古今東西の旧友たちが集う魔女の宴を存分に楽しもうではないか。さあ、今宵を食い明かし、飲み明かし、
I can't believe Battler is just
すすり
naked.
明かし、
That's
食い
awesome.
ちぎり明かして、とことん楽しもうではないか。時計を見よ。終わりの時間と始まりの時間が溶け合う時を指すぞ。魔女の宴を始めよう。
When the witch announced the beginning of the banquet, the large clock pointed at 24, and the sound of the bell began to ring out.
さあ、今こそ黄金の扉を開こうぞ。
All at once, butterflies leafed in gold flew all around the inside of the room. Amidst the gold storm and brilliant gold-colored light, the barrier between this world and another was cut open. Surrounded by the goats' delighted voices, the mansion of the human world and the mansion of those not human overlapped, and the members of the household who praised the resurrection of the Golden Witch scattered into butterflies and poured out of the depths of hell. It was a golden tornado, a rondo of golden demons. Come, tonight we will put aside rank, throw open the wine cellar, drop the snake's head into the liquor pot, throw cows and chickens into the furnace alive, drink and eat and sing and dance, sneer and kill and desecrate and degrade.
Beatrice! 今こそ私を黄金鏡へ黄金鏡へおお
The goat nobles were suddenly crushing in around Kinzo, almost like they were kids demanding the signature of some famous movie star. There were only two differences. First, these were witches, not kids. And second, these witches demanded was not a signature. The sea of goat nobles began to drown Kinzo. Only Kinzo's laughing voice echoed throughout the area. Are they eating him? I think they're eating him. It was a grand mixture of laughter and his death throes, and Kinzo became wine and meat and bread. An aroma if slurped, a rich taste if gnawed, and pleasant to tear in bits. The sound of his death throes lingered on sweetly, and if adorned with melted chocolate and golden argnet, it would make a wonderful dessert. If you took the bones home, you could also use them in a soup, and the remains could even become toys for children to play with. And they could also become splendid tools for fortune-telling that always brought misfortune. Sweet. That entire scene was watched by the furniture. It was all fantastical. It was all demonic. Was the quaking of it supposedly paralyzed heart proof that it could still fear? At that time, its knees buckled and the furniture's body fell down in the midst of the carpet. After all, the witch had kicked those knees from behind.
ひざまずき敬意を示せ。額を絨毯にこすりつけて己神の卑しさを示す。両手を後ろで組み血肉のすべてをわらわに捧げることを誓え。
I feel like she's about to peg him in front of everyone. The furniture let out a painful voice. Fear is the most basic emotion humans have. Was that emotion reviving his sense of self, which should already have been slain?
まだまだわらわの家具にはふさわしくないか。よい。じっくりそなたをわらわ好みに、そしてわらわにのみふさわしい家具に仕上げてやる。
Watch, Battler just says he said this stuff just to see her bust.
今のそなたにできるのはせいぜい客人の方々を楽しませることくらいか。
The goat nobles were surrounding the crouching furniture. It seemed their blazing, blood-red eyes couldn't hide their ecstasy as this new young food they'd been given. Oh. And from the ugly teeth that stuck out countless mouths saliva, or maybe the traces of meat and wine that they had just eaten dribbled down. Not the best way to go out. As the furniture let out a wild scream, it retreated, still sitting on its backside, but the circle of goats nobles was chasing in. Then, the furniture looked at the witch's face. It had surrendered to the witch, so, believing that the witch would show some compassion, it stared her face in the end. But there was nothing but scorn in the witch's face, and she wasn't even facing the furniture anymore. The witch went off to greet another honored guest whom she crossed gazes. The goat nobles looked down upon the furniture. Actually, they had been waiting. Just like how one must remove the cork in order to drink the champagne, they had to wait for one thing before partaking in the offering served at this banquet. Of course, the furniture didn't know about this thing, but it came out of his mouth all by itself. Just like the unavoidable pop by the cork, it inevitably came out of his mouth. Was it his tongue? It was a scream. It was the sign that marked the beginning of the modest banquet at which he was to be served. Not a great banquet. It's like eyes wide shut stuff. By now the garden was one of both roses and gold. A gold-colored garden where golden butterflies, gold fairies, and gold lizards rampaged and flew about wildly. Oh, jeez, Rosa. I forgot. Rosa grasped her gun and the blanket wrapped around the ingot and ran at a speed Maria couldn't match, sometimes pausing to call out for Maria to run faster. So she saw it every time. She saw the golden pursuers chasing them from the mansion. The massive gold butterflies was chasing after them like a massive crawling hand, and the strange-looking shadows with gold heads were chasing after them. There was no need for her to strain her eyes, because those blazing pupils told her what would happen if she was captured. Maria fell down. Just for an instant, Rosa was ashamed by thoughts of abandoning her daughter and running away, but at that instant her feet touched the ground. She ran back. Oh, the goat head that had sprinted over to get the first bite grabbed a hold of the back of Rosa's own child's hair and pulled. Rosa rammed into the goat's head with her shoulder, spun, bashed the back of her elbow into the goat's jaw, and buried her knee into its protruding chest. As she thrust the barrel of the gold gun into the head's mouth as it doubled over for pain in its gut. Hell yeah, Rosa. The blast from the Winchester 45 caliber long bullet exploded inside the goat head's throat, and its medulla oblongata was instantly pulverized. The goat head hadn't understood. It had thought the women were like pre-opened wine bottles. It had thought that turning them upside down would immediately make their deep red contents come out. Maria, who had been released, hugged Rosa. Uh-oh. But the pursuers were still coming. Good lord, this is crazy. They could see the giant goat heads, who had given up pretending to be human, running towards them from across the rose bushes. Rosa spilled several extra bullets, which had been in the pockets of her coat all over the place, and told Maria to pick them up.
Maria, Mama がもし倒れたら、あなたは走りなさい。海岸へ行くの。そして泳いで泳ぎなさい。この島のどこにも生き延びることのできる場所はない。やだ。ママと一緒。
Rosa's gun roared 4 times. Even though 4 shots really hit the massive approaching goats in the chest, they didn't even flinch. The goats ran with violent vigor, as though they planned to crush Rosa and Maria with those massive bodies. Rosa grasped a blanket with the ingot in both hands, and then she herself sprinted, pulling it along, without even an ounce of fear of those strange-looking giants. If it's to protect my daughter, I'll overcome even hell. Rosa roared. The goat head roared. The terribly heavy ingot, after picking up a fearsome centrifugal force at speed, slammed into the head of the goat head. Rosa pulled a fountainhead from her pocket, but she held it crooked. She placed it in her palm. In the gap between her middle finger and her ring finger that stuck out, she made a fist, almost like a stinger was thrown out of it. Its stinger sliced into the left eye of the goat head as it fell over. Was the goat head's roar a scream? But Rosa's roar was different. She pulled back her fist and slammed the fountain pen that was still sticking out of that goat head's eye. The pointing tip was gouged in the depths of its head. Dang, homegirl's going beast mode. When Rosa grabbed the ground Maria had thrown, the giant finally tumbled down to the ground with a thunderous crash. Good lord, this is crazy. However, at the same time, I saw the goat-head pursuers on the other side of the rose bushes increase in number. Jesus, I've gained enough distance for now. I held onto the blanket wrapped around the ingot and the gun, and once again ran with Maria. Why am I running with a gun in my right hand and the gold in my left? Why didn't I let go with one hand and grasp Maria's hand? I can't let go of the gun that protects my body. I can't let go of the gold that protects my future. But even so, I've got to let go. I've let go of the hand of my daughter, the one who is my future. Run, run, run. She got out of the rose garden and began to run down the staircase through a trove of trees. But Rosa knew. This path through the grove turned and twisted many times and seemed to be long. She tore straight through it. She had played here often in childhood years, so she knew. To the beach, to the beach, to the sea, to the sea, to the sea. After reaching the sea, nothing to do but swim, swim, and if Maria can't swim, I'll carry her as I swim. There's nothing but death on this island. As she raced out of the stairs, she took a bad step. A violent pain rushed up her ankle, and her mind went completely blank. Rosa fell down several stairs, shocked by her ankle, which was bent at an odd angle. And the blanket with the ingot wasn't there. She let go of it in an instant and fell. It had disappeared somewhere in the darkness. Only the gun was left. Tremors of the earth began getting closer. It was only a matter of time before the goats had flooded in. She didn't want to imagine how many there would be, or how strange they would look. The lightly dancing golden pursuers arrived. The gold butterflies surrounded Rosa and Maria, waving, clamoring, as though saying, "The prize is here, the prize is here." Rosa couldn't even try to get up. The violent pain from her broken ankle was so great she couldn't ignore it, even in her last moments. Oh, what am I doing? I had the gold, which would have been worth several million yen. I might have been able to start over with that, and yet I fell, I lost it, and now my own life is in danger, and Maria's too. What has my life been? I was born into an incomprehensible family, with irritating older siblings since the day I was born. What did I do? No matter what I did or didn't do, I was always troubled and bullied and made fun of. What has my life been? The roar inside Rosa's heart shriveled away and disappeared. It disappeared when she heard Maria's crying voice as she sobbed and clung to Rosa.
Maria, ママはちょっと用事を思い出したの。先に行っててちょうだい。やだ。ママと一緒がいい。ママが死んじゃ嫌だ。マリアはこんな悪いママでもママと一緒がいいと言ってくれるの。ママと一緒がいい。ママと一緒がいい。あなたのことを一番にしているように見せて、いつもあなたのことを後回しにしてきた。運動会に行った、授業参観に行った。でもいつもママは世間体のことばかりで、あなたが人目にいなかった。こんなママとでもあなたは一緒にいたいというの。こんな悪いママなのに。
ねえママ、知ってる？世界にママは一人しかいないんだ
Dang,
よ。
Maria.
いいママも悪いママもいない。ただママが一人いるだけなの。だからマリアは世界でたった一人ママがいてくれればいい。そしてママにとってたった一人のマリアになりたいの。機嫌が良くて甘やかしたいマリアと邪魔だからいてほしくないマリアは別人じゃないの。マリアもだから怖いママも優しいママも一緒。マリアにはたった一人のママなの。
私はなんてバカだったの。黄金なんかいらなかった。
True.
ただあなただけの手を引いていればよかった。私はなんて
I don't know if they would have made it, but they would have had a better chance. The shadows of the goats covered the sky even more thoroughly than the trees of the forest. Their robes blotted out the world with fear. Rose is still hugging Maria, ready her gun with one hand.
Maria, 一緒に行こう。ずっと一緒よ。ママが迷わないように、ずっと一緒に。
すぐに会えるよ。ずっと一緒だよ。黄金鏡で会えるよ。そしたら一緒に遊ぶの。狼と羊のパズルで遊ぶの。ママはまだ1問しか解いてないけど、マリアは全部解いちゃったんだよ。だからマリアが出題してあげる。
She had bought it as a birthday present and then hadn't played it with Maria after the first night.
遊ぼうね。一緒に。約束する。
Those eyes, sparkling like red-hot lava, looked just like a group of fireflies. They danced, closed in and attacked. Rose is going ham.
マリアが込めてくれた銃弾を食らいたいやつから前へ出ろよ。うわ
！Damn. Shit was crazy. Anything else? Cool. Hello? Okay, let's see. I think I officially finished the chapter. Okay, episode 2 Tea Party. Okay, I'm gonna end here for now. But yeah, guys, that was freaking insane. Huge fan of all the shit going on. Yeah, it ended way differently than I expected. George died. Like, I thought it would end way before that, or like I thought there would maybe be another like 15 minutes or something, not like another hour and a half after they've been killed. So yeah, really crazy. And yeah, let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments below.